This video will show you how to sew a pillow. The materials you'll need for this are thread, scissors, a pencil, a sewing needle, and the fabric of your choice. You may also want a template that you would make out of paper, like a stencil that you would trace onto the fabric. It's not necessary to use a template, but you might want it if you have a complicated shape. First, take your fabric and fold it in half inside out. Place the template on the edge of the fabric where the fold is. Use a pencil to trace the template onto the fabric. The next step is to cut out your shape, cutting through both pieces of fabric while the fabric is still folded. So after you cut it out, you should have something that looks like this, with the fabric folded in half, still inside out. So now you're ready to start sewing, and we're going to sew it while it's inside out and then turn it right side out. So you will need your thread and your needle, and you will want to go ahead and thread your needle. But if you have a little bit of trouble, I'm going to show you a trick. You're going to make a needle threader. So what you'll want to do is just take a piece of paper and cut it the length of the eye of the needle. And then you'll fold it in half. And then you're going to take the thread and put it inside that folded piece of paper, like a hot dog in a bun. And then what you'll do is put that through the eye of the needle, and that will make it a lot easier to thread your needle. So the next thing you might want to do is tie the thread onto the needle, but it's not really necessary if the thread is thick enough that it's not going to easily slip out of the eye of the needle. So you don't have to tie a knot. But you do have to tie a knot at the end of the thread. So here's another trick. This is how you can easily tie a knot. Get your finger wet, wrap the thread around your finger, and then twist it into a knot. It's not a pretty knot, but it will work. To begin sewing, you will need to put the needle through the fabric at the corner. I'm starting where the fold is. Then I'm going to put the needle back through the fabric and pull it all the way to the knot. So once again, put it down and then put it up through the fabric and pull it all the way. This will be repeated over and over again until you have just a little opening so that you can stuff the pillow. Look at the length of these stitches. It's important to make sure your stitches are small, because if they're large, you'll have gaps in your sewing. At this point, you can see I'm nearing the corner, so I'm just going to turn the fabric and continue sewing. While you're sewing, make sure that you always have more than the length of your hand. If at any point you notice that you have less than the length of your hand, that is the point where you will want to tie a knot and rethread your needle with more thread. Now you can see I have a little opening, so I'm going to stop sewing and tie a knot and then turn the pillow right side out. Anytime you stop sewing, you will want to tie a knot. This is how to tie a knot. You can see I've put the needle through the fabric, just a small bite of the fabric, and I've created a loop. So I'm going to then put my needle through that loop and pull. And that creates a knot. And I will want to do that one more time so that it's a double knot, and that will make sure that your pillow does not come unraveled. So after you tie the knot, it's safe to cut off your needle. So now that I'm finished sewing and I tied my knot, the next step is to turn the pillow right side out. I'm very carefully turning it inside out, and if I have trouble getting into all the corners, I'm going to use a pencil to push the fabric out. So now that the pillow is right side out and I've made sure that all the corners are pushed out, I can go ahead and stuff. While stuffing the pillow, take the stuffing and pull it apart into smaller pieces and put those in one at a time. You can use a pencil to make sure you're getting the stuffing into all the areas. So now that the pillow is stuffed, the next step is to sew it closed. Make sure you have a length of thread on your needle that's longer than your hand. If not longer than your hand, go ahead and rethread your needle with more thread. Then tie a knot at the end. Close the pillow by pinching the fabric together. Put the needle through to the other side and then back through to the front again. Pull the needle all the way to the knot and then keep repeating this until the pillow is sewed closed. When you're finished sewing the pillow closed, make sure that you tie a knot at the end so that the pillow does not come undone. If you've gotten this far, congratulations, you've made a pillow. Please remember to cut the sewing needle off of your project and return it to the Fiber Studio.